welcome to today's episode of the We Talk series. I hope all of you are in the best of your health. Today, we are set for another fascinating interaction. For those who are with us for the first time today, We Talk brings to you the most prominent industry voices as they share precious experiences and insights with us about what's happening in the HR ecosystem, what changes should we look forward to, and most importantly, what's keeping HR on their toes. So, joining us today is Smriti Khanna, Vice President Human Resources at Skin Science. Welcome, Smriti. Very quick introduction before we move on to our conversation. So, over a decade in the field of HR, Smriti has rich experience in startups, e-commerce, D2C, FMCG, and telecom across brands like Livspace, Airtel, and Nestle. Smriti has also worked as an independent consultant for incubation-stage startups. Besides this, she briefly assisted the FSSAI in 2017 in developing and launching some of their HR initiatives and processes. With that, once again, a very warm welcome, Smriti. It is a delight to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Vaishaki, for having me here. I'm looking forward to a very enriching conversation.
Same here, Smriti. So, Smriti, to start off with our discussion and to set in the context for our talk today, so I would like to know how is your industry tackling the changes that the workplace has gone through over the past couple of years? If you could share a brief overview with us.
I'm working in the space of beauty and personal care right now. And very clearly, we are a startup which is, which is trying to figure out what's happening in the market. And as a workplace, it is very interesting to note whatever changes we are seeing is heavily related with how the consumer behavior changes. Now, over the last 2 to 3 years, you would see personal care and beauty industry has seen changes like men are embracing beauty, the overall age at which people get involved with personal care has gone down. We have preteens who are now consumers of it. Across geography, people are preferring more herbal based products or products which are more sustainable. And with these changes which are coming in consumer behavior, we as organization which is catering to this demand also sees a change, a drastic change in how employees want to work. So their preferences has also changed over last 2 to 3 years, COVID being one of the major reasons that has brought this change. We are more technologically focused. We embrace technology. The internet users have gone up. The working style and norms have changed. And also over time, personal care, self care, personal pursuits such as giving time to family, time to dear ones, or even following up your hobbies, work life balance has really taken forefront. Now, with health and well being and personal care becoming a priority for individuals at a personal level and also for consumers, what has happened is this industry has seen shift in organizations how they deliver this value. So there are two important things essentially for any organization. One is to ensure as an employer we are purpose led. Whatever we are doing for the macroeconomic context. We are delivering to the consumers what they want, how the shifts are happening. And also, the second important piece is we have intentional efforts to ensure the personal and professional pursuits of individuals are meshed together. So these two are very essential things that have happened as an employer. And this is at a broad level. It can translate into execution or at an individual level in a very different manner. At micro level, you will see companies talking more about holistic well-being, their product portfolio and category launches becoming more nature enabled, close to earth, having herbal products, or sustainable practices. You would see companies at a very small, young, nascent stage also focusing on environmental and societal impact, which for the longest period of time, we did not have large companies focusing on. Like even after 100 years, large companies would start looking at it very recently. But today, if you look at it and if you go to the shelf of any large supermarket, you will see a lot of products which are talking about sustainable practices. You will see packaging, which is more sustainable. So these are purpose-led organizations ensuring that whatever we do as a consumer brand or as an employer brand, there's a purpose behind it, right? That's the first thing. At the second point, which is intentional efforts to ensure personal and professional pursuits are met, you will see some of these policies being revisited, hybrid working becoming very normal. We at Wow Skin Sciences ensure that each employee, we are able to deliver a unique experience while being in the same framework, right? So as a team, how do we ensure we are working towards one direction, at the same time delivering unique value and experience to each employee depending on what their life priorities are. So broadly, you will see organization focusing on these two things.
Very beautifully put together, Smriti, indeed. So, Smriti, we are talking about a very different industry here altogether. So, I would like to know that according to you and your industry demands, what type of skill shortage do you think is causing the recent talent war?
A startup plus a beauty and personal care setup. As I mentioned, health and well-being for youngsters and for in general the globe has become very important in last 2 to 3 years. You know, people have figured out the frugality of life, and suddenly everything that we do in terms of our health has become important. You will see a craze of influencers talking about health and life sciences. People, taking up health very seriously. The sector is also booming, if you would say, which is a very peripheral sector to us as well. What happens is personal care has not just become essential across the globe, it has also become a symbol of what my identity is. How I dress up, how I prepare myself, how I show is my identity. And also, it's a movement of change. People have started using beauty and personal care as a movement of change. The very traditional definition of what's beauty has changed in last decade or so. Uh, so practically, the diversity of consumer is large if you look at it. Now, as an employer, I need to ensure that I serve to this diversity consumer, preteens, men, health conscious, even senior citizens. The diversity I have to ensure that I cater to. Now, because my consumer is so diverse and I want to give a unique, personalized, customized experience to each one of them, I need a skill set which can scale fast, but still keep the unique experience alive. So you need people who are thinker, who can think through all of these changes, culminate the insights, and at the same time, with heavy action bias, do it. The skill sets which are in demand are not just technical anymore. So just to be a graduate who knows X area of work is not sufficient enough. You need to have an aptitude where you can think of what's happening around you, around your life at macro level, and then actually execute it at micro level. Which is where I think we are having difficulty in figuring out people who can think, plan, and do all three of them together.
Very pertinent points you have raised, indeed, Smriti. This kind of gives us a very holistic idea as to how the industry is actually, performing. So, with that, I'll move on to my next question, Smriti, and this brings us to one of the very talked about topic, that is DE and I. So, can you throw some light on your DE and I agenda that you're following in your organization?
Absolutely. This is one topic which is close to my heart. I think I'm lucky and privileged enough to be in a field where I can champion this. But apart from that, at a personal level, also, this is something very close to my heart. We at Wow Skin Sciences, believe in leading by example when it comes to diversity. Unfortunately, in India, our conversations, most of the conversations in industry is around gender diversity. Thankfully, there are a few but limited organizations talking about generational diversity. But we at Wow Skin Science are having a conversation of how this diversity could be across gender, it could be across my personal affiliations, it could be across my life stages and experiences that I'm going through, it could be across generations, it could be across skill set, and obviously geography. Uh, so the diversity that we talk about is not just gender. Secondly, we lead by example. Now, what do I mean by leading by example? Often it's easy to quantify it and get into the nuances of KPIs, right? So a lot of organizations take a KPI of hiring X number of women employees or hiring X number of generational diversity. We don't want to get into that number game. We want to organically build diversity, build an ecosystem that allows diverse set of skill and people sit together on the table. So while our numbers may not look great right now, there's an ecosystem which is built at the back end, which will organically allow different thoughts, different ideas, people from different backgrounds come together and share and collaborate. So for us, the agenda is to build a safe, respectful, and inclusive workplace. Equity, diversity will kind of follow along with it. So we are not approaching it in silo. We are approaching it more from a holistic lens that if we are able to give ecosystem where people can thrive, people can come, absolutely diversity will kind of follow through. It will be a consequence rather than something that you intentionally build and then are unable to sustain.
Very rightly pointed out, Smriti. So, Smriti, so far we have discussed about the startup culture. We have talked about diversity, so which kind of leads to a very important point, that is the new generation, as you all talk about. So, what is your take on the new generation entering the workforce, and most importantly, how do you think their expectation differs from that of the previous generation? If you can throw some light on that.
Sure. It is a very pertinent question. I think last couple of years had been the one when Gen Z started entering into the workspace for us. You know, they have turned 20. Those who born in 2000s have turned 20, 21, 22, and they've started entering the workspace world. It is very exciting to see them because as one of the songs says, they have seen and they have learned far more than we can ever imagine. They come with smart set of thoughts. Their intellectual capabilities, their EQ level is far higher than what we generally see at an average of our generations. So intellectually, we are finding some amazing talent sitting there and hungry talent. These are people who want to do a lot, who want to achieve a lot. What is important is to understand their expectation that they want to achieve and do a lot, that they will not be bound by a single pursuit, right? Their pursuits may be varied, they may be diverse. And how do we appreciate, first of all, these diverse pursuits that they may have, their diverse desires and ambitions of doing a lot of stuff? And how can we enable that? That becomes very important. So no longer is compensation the only reason why somebody would work. It has become, what is the purpose? Who am I catering to? What's the value that I derive out of the work that I do? This heavy emphasis on the kind of work that I do and what is it leading to? What's the end of this work that I do? There's a lot of focus on purpose that these guys give, and there's less focus on what's my compensation number. So there's a tremendous shift there. What it also means for organizations like us is, are we building those kind of jobs? Are we writing roles and carving out roles which give enough value and satisfaction to this generation, which wants to do a lot, right? And this is like a problem statement for people like us who are writing these roles. Um, and I think that requires a fair bit of understanding of what's happening in the market and also relooking at how we think of roles. Probably an era of expertism is no longer the only way of achieving heights in career, right? People are now becoming jack of all trades or master of a few trades and still achieving success. So how do we really ensure we allow a lot of exposure, a lot of learning, a lot of exchange of notes and thoughts across industry, across organizations, and make people feel valued and that the work that they do has a purpose?
Very rightly mentioned, Smriti. I love the part where you mentioned that, carving new roles for this new generation, because compensation is something not, the new generation is just looking forward to. It's way beyond that they're looking forward to. And I hope as organizations, carve the way forward, we have a lot to achieve. So with that, we will wrap up our conversation for the day. Thank you so much, Smriti, for sharing your fantastic knowledge with us. I absolutely loved conversing with you. And with that, once again, thank you for joining us today. We will be back with another exciting conversation next week. Till then, stay safe and keep talking, everyone.